Welcome to College Smart Radio, helping you bring into focus the true cost of college and how to tackle the runaway cost of financing a college education. College Smart Radio is hosted by Beatrice Schultz, a certified financial planner and founder of Westface College Planning. Now, here's your host for College Smart Radio, Beatrice Schultz.
Welcome to College Smart Radio. Nearly all colleges rate application essays as either important or very important in their admissions process. A poorly executed essay can cause a stellar student to get rejected. On the flip side, exceptional application essays can help students with marginal scores get into the schools of their dreams. On today's College Smart Radio program, we'll be discussing the importance of writing a strong college essay. Hi, I'm Beatrice Schultz. Welcome to our weekly show, College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the cost of a college education. Our show is all about bringing up-to-date and practical advice to parents who are dealing with the cost of a college education for their kids. With many private schools costing over $60,000 a year, a UC costing $35,000, and a California State University running $25,000, parents need more help than ever. We bring you that help by sharing ways to pay less, tapping into financial aid, and prioritizing your source of funds to make sure you get through the most expensive years of your life. Based on my own education and experience, I share my insights with you week in and week out. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering and a Master's degree in International Business. I am a certified financial planner and the owner of the San Carlos-based college planning business, Westface College Planning. I host workshops and webinars in college planning, and I consult with parents on a daily basis. In addition to my insights, I bring in experts in many areas of the college process, from counselors, financial aid professionals, financial aid officers, student coaches, parents, and even students. You'll learn firsthand the ins and outs of how to pay for college and survive financially. In addition to our show, you can find lots of powerful information at our website, collegesmartradio.com. We have many articles that I've authored with up-to-date information on navigating the waters of paying for the runaway cost of college. We have a monthly e-newsletter full of content about college planning. We also have posted a glossary of key terms used in the world of college planning. Terms like EFC, total cost of attendance, FAFSA, student assets, base year, and so forth. And we have a link to our free community parent workshops and webinars that I host to teach parents how to pay for college and how the financial aid system really works. So let's get into today's show. The college essay matters. The college essay reveals something important that grades and test scores can't. Your personality. It can give admission officers a sense of who you are, as well as showcasing your writing skills. My guest on today's College Smart Radio show is Beth Harrison, the Executive Director of Peninsula Young Writers. Beth has a PhD in American Literature from Columbia University and a secondary education teaching credential in English from Stanford University. She has extensive experience teaching writing to college students and has served as an academic advisor at Stanford University. During the academic year, she offers private tutoring and college essay consultation. She has directed her popular creative writing summer camp since 2005, and her daughters, Lily and Abby, now in high school, also participate in the camp. Peninsula Writing and Literature Programs is a 503c nonprofit organization with the mission to foster the love of writing and reading for people of all ages and walks of life. I've invited Beth to the studio today to share her expertise on today's topic, the importance of writing a strong college essay. Hi, Beth. Welcome to College Smart Radio.
Thanks so much, Beatrice. It's great to be here.
Well, let's start by sharing a little bit about yourself and how and why you founded the Peninsula Young Writers.
Well, I've been doing this organization for about 9 years now. This will be my 9th summer offering summer workshops. In about 2009, I incorporated as a nonprofit so I could expand my services and reach some of the lower income families of the area. So I also offer scholarships as well as fee-based programs. I do creative writing, autobiographical writing, and about a year ago I started helping students with personal statements both for college and graduate school.
Well, it sounds like a great program, and I like the way that you've incorporated the nonprofit as part of it. Well, let's talk a little bit about the process of how to create a college application essay, or you tell me what's the process, or how would you help students go through this process?
Well, one reason I think my programs are linked between creative writing and college essay writing is because college essay writing is really writing a story. And I start very early on. I mean, junior year is not too early for students to begin generating topic ideas. So I try to take students all the way through the process from brainstorming, generating ideas, developing drafts, learning how to do a hook or an intro paragraph, helping them build the essay. But it's really their essay. And as you spoke earlier about the application showing a student's voice, the essay is really so critical for that. And it needs to be the student who writes the essay in his or her own point of view, and even the story has to be really authentically from their own experience. So I try to capture that.
Yeah, how do you get the student to come up with the story? I mean, or I shouldn't say you get that. How does the student come up with the story? I mean, parents might be like, "Oh, remember that wonderful thing you did," or how do you define yourself? I mean, how do you I guess help the student explore what topics are available?
Well, they can. I mean, I think parents, counselors, and teachers have a big role in this process. Again, not writing the essay for them, but yeah, you could remind your child what did we do on that last summer vacation? You remember that huge accident we witnessed, and you ran in. I don't know if you're going to run in and rescue or use your CPR, but and I think a lot of students come to me thinking that they have to have this fantastic experience that they want to write about. That again, they saved someone's life, or they went to Tibet and met the Dalai Lama. Or it doesn't have to be a great experience, but it has to be their experience. And then I help them reflect on, what did that teach them? What did they learn from that? How does that direct them? What values of theirs does it reflect? So there are many ways they can go about it. Sometimes we start with thinking about the personality traits or the values they want to express in the essay, and then they find a story or something that happened to them that helps illustrate that, or the other way around. Generally, the second way, I think, of remembering an incident that was meaningful to them in some way, and then probing that for meaning.
And is it really kind of one personal statement, one essay, or if students are applying to UCs and also private colleges, would they be expected they might need more than one type of essay in preparation?
Oh, definitely, depending on how many colleges they're applying to. And, I generally recommend no more than 10, but there are some students
no more than 10 colleges.
10 colleges, and that's going to be... if they're applying to private schools, there's the common application, and we may continue talking about that later. That's one essay, and that's sort of the main essay that they're going to prepare ahead of time. Then for the UCs, there are 2 essays. One of those essays could be the same as the common application, because the UCs don't take the common app, just their own essays. But for each private college you apply to, there will be supplemental essays, some of which are longer, regular, let's say 500-word essays, and then some are shorter, more like answers, but they still have to be carefully crafted. So a student could find himself or herself writing 5 or 10 essays.
Really?
That's a lot.
So that's a lot. And that's it's a lot, but that makes sense. You want to start preparing or getting your ideas together, I would think, for sure in your junior year. I can't imagine doing this all in the fall of your senior year along with applications. Yeah,
the fall of senior year is very stressful no matter what. So starting the writing ahead of time is a good idea.
So if I was so explain to me maybe a little bit about how your workshops work, or how you might help a kid to explore and get through to this huge list of essays.
Okay, well, I take 2 different approaches, partly to be cost effective for families. And the first way is, if students are applying to maybe fewer than 10, probably 5 colleges, or primarily public universities, I would recommend they take a workshop with me. And that's a 1 evening long workshop where we learn about the structure of the college essay. We practice writing, do some brainstorming, learn the formats, practice writing introductions, and then they meet with me in addition to that workshop a couple of times to work personally on and crafting their own essay. So that's a very effective program.
With that group workshop, is there only certain times of the year you do it? Like, would it be in the spring for juniors, or is
it's primarily in the fall, actually.
Okay.
So maybe they've come to me with a draft they've already started. But generally, toward the end of the summer, that's when they'll sign up for this workshop. And by going through that process with me, they'll have at least their 2 UC essays done, and probably that in combination with the common application. But then other students I work with on a one-to-one basis with individual consultation, and I have packages for that as well. Some students, depending on how many essays they need to write or how many colleges they're applying to, they need more or fewer meetings with me. But I'm working very closely with them also in developing their college lists. Which colleges will they be applying to, and how, which essays to use for which application. You don't want to overlap, but you want to be judicious in not having to write a brand new essay for every single application.
Sure, and even sometimes those essays could be really valuable for private scholarship applications also.
Certainly, yes.
So it's a big part, and I think can be a part that it can be overwhelming for kids. And so when you said typically you wouldn't recommend more than 10 to apply to, and I would say the same, probably 6 to 10 colleges to apply to. There is an advantage to applying to more colleges, even from a financial perspective, because there can be opportunities sometimes for appeal if some of the offers are, especially in a more liberal arts type education choice, where you just are not sure that some of them may be offering scholarships or merit scholarships that aren't available with the other ones. So I agree with you, but that's a lot of work and a lot of preparation along with filling in those applications. So tell me a little bit more about how you could, or in your workshop or in your individual, what are the key areas that you find that students really are gleam or walk away from going, oh, I'm so glad that I spent a little time on this?
Well, one thing that I think is really important, it's just practical. The students know they've signed up to do something. They set aside a time to do it. And I don't want it to be a negative assignment. Most of them are pretty motivated to do it, but they need someone to be accountable to, and I become that person. And plus, with my years of teaching writing, I know how to coach students along. They reach a stuck place. Most of the students I'm going to encourage to write that story out, and it's going to be much longer than 500 words. Actually, this year, for the first time, the Common App has changed, and now they're allowing 650 words, which isn't a lot more.
So
still.
I'd like you to share a little bit more about the new Common App, or for those people who aren't familiar, what it is, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on the show. But 650, 500, I mean, should it be 649 or 650, or does it just need to be between 625 and 650? I mean, how much of those numbers matter? I've heard you don't want to go over the number that they state.
Right, you certainly don't want to go over, and many counselors are saying don't even go to 650, because that's sort of that's giving a little lanny up or a little extra for students that have to. So you're thinking about a 2-page story, and you need to have room for a little intro and then certainly evaluation at the end. But I encourage them to develop that story fully, then they can trim it back, and I teach them methods for making their sentences more concise and for recognizing what's superfluous in their paragraphs. So that's an important part of the process, and we are word counting toward the end. It's really critical.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but it's just part of the reality of preparing the application. And they learn. I think they learn to be really focused writers through this.
Beth, I'm going to take a break here. When we come back, though, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the Common Application and what that means, because some people are listening and going, what does that mean? And also what kind of essays are required for that. You're with us on College Smart Radio, where my guest today is Beth Harrison. We'll be right back on College Smart Radio.
For more information on today's topic, visit collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. College Smart Radio continues in moments on AM 1220 KDOW. Contact Beatrice Schultz at collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. Now, back to College Smart Radio with your host Beatrice Schultz on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back to College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of college. I'm Beatrice Schultz. We all know that college is expensive and will mostly be some of the most costly years for a family. Understanding how to navigate the college costs to save everywhere you can is a smart thing to know. To help families beyond this radio show, I host community workshops via live and via webinar several times a month that explain the costs of various colleges, how the financial aid system works, and things to consider to prepare yourself for this tremendous expense. You can find my workshop schedule and register at collegesmartradio.com. Today's College Smart Radio show is about the importance of writing a strong college essay, and my guest today is Beth Harrison, the founder and executive director of Peninsula Young Writers. Hi, Beth. During the break, we were talking a little bit about discovering or developing an authentic voice in writing, and I thought it was a great concept that I'd like you to share with the audience.
Yes, I think it's really important because it's the only part of the application where the applicant can really reveal his or her individual personality. And that's done through the style and the format that the writer chooses and the diction, the word choice. It's really the why and how of a student versus the what, which is the data that comes across through test scores and grades and courses. So I think it's really important. And it's even more important in the Common Application essay than in the UCs. The UC essays, there are two, and they total 1,000 words. You can vary them between them. They're each, roughly 400 to 600 words apiece. But there, the UC regents are looking mostly for more information, and they're more directive and more pragmatic kinds of essays. But the Common App, they're looking for your personality. These are the private schools, the liberal arts colleges, the private universities. And what you do is, to define the Common App, you send in one essay, and it goes to all the private schools that you're applying to. And that's your main essay. Then your supplemental essays come with each individual college. I think virtually all private schools that I can think of use the Common App. The one exception I off the top of my head would be Georgetown. But this is your chance to tell your story and do it in a creative way. I don't recommend being totally off the wall or flippant in humor, but some students have a kind of quirky style, and that's certainly appropriate. So that's the essay that is sort of the frontispiece for the rest of your application. And almost all students applying to private colleges will work the hardest on that Common Application.
Now, you had mentioned that this Common App has changed, and I know oftentimes I'll recommend to students to go in their junior, even as freshmen, and just take a look at what the Common App looks like to kind of prepare it. So maybe you can just share for our audience, those of you who are familiar with the Common App, what's changed or what's changed, and if part of the essay has changed, what that's about.
Yeah, if you've had parents out there, if you've had older children already apply to college, it's now quite different, and it'll stay this way for several years. So anyone with students approaching the college application age, this is a good time to look at the questions. They've focused now more on challenges that a student might face versus your accomplishments. So it's good to reflect on not just the experiences where you won first prize in a swimming race or on an essay contest, but maybe where you had a failure of some sort and learned something valuable from that. And I think the way the questions are phrased, they're asking now more for one full story than several small vignettes. So again, it's going to be having to select which story is most compelling for you. And that might mean writing out several drafts of different stories. But that's important to know for the Common App now from 2013.
Okay, so going forward, when does the Common App actually become available for next year's seniors?
Well, they've announced the new questions, and they'll open up the site. They won't open it up until the end of the summer, really.
The summertime is when they open it up.
But summer's a good time since you know the questions, you can be working on it during the summer.
And I'll have a link to the new questions that Beth supplied me with. So we'll have that available also on my College Smart Radio website if anyone wants to take a look at those questions in preparation, because it won't really be available until around August. So one of the other things that you talked about was using essays in preparation for college interviews, which I thought was interesting. And maybe you can talk a little bit about which colleges ask for interviews and how often does that happen, and then also kind of the preparation by using essays.
Yes, I think just by learning to focus your ideas and identify your values and priorities, you're preparing yourself to speak to college admissions counselors, whether that's on a college tour. Many private universities will offer, through their alumni in the area, they'll offer an interview. That interview isn't super important, but again, it's good practice. And I think what it is for the student is a chance to interact with someone from the college and find out if that's going to be a good match for you. The best way, of course, is to be on campus with actual students. But meeting with an alumni or alumnus from the college might be the second best chance to find out more about the college and to expose yourself to the college. So speaking not entirely from your essay, but from the knowledge you've gained from writing the essay is a great opportunity.
Gives you some depth for when to answer those questions.
Sure.
And so when students are going on campus to meet with college admissions advisors, or when they're having these college interviews, when is this happening? Is this usually for seniors around now or in March, or has it already happened before offers are made, I guess, in January,
yes.
February?
Yes, it's going to happen after the deadline, which would be beginning of January, and sometime in that period. And then those who apply for early application, it would happen actually in the fall. Okay. So yeah, for now, those are done for the year.
Beth, can you talk a little bit more about everything that's available through your organization? I know you talked about a little bit about a writing contest that you do annually. Maybe talk a little bit about all the services that are available, how people online could donate to the organization, and also may be able to participate in some of your programs.
Great. Yes. Well, we just finished up our annual writing contest for high school students. I offer this because so many high schools today don't encourage creative writing or reflective writing or personal statement type writing, and it gives students an opportunity to showcase their writing and to get some recognition for it. And then the recognition is something they can put on their college application. So I see it as a win-win there.
Sounds win-win to me.
We have cash prizes, which they could use to buy books or or save for college, let's say. So that's one of the...
So the writing contest is just a little... I know that this year's has already passed. For students who may be thinking next year, is it... What kind of criteria would you have? Is it a certain length, a certain topic? How do people sign up?
Well, it's an open topic, and they could just go on my website, which is www.pwlp.com and .org, excuse me, and they can find the application. But it's really just by genre: poetry, nonfiction, fiction. 2,500 word limit for the stories, and 3 poems. So it's very broad. It's open to students in the San Mateo County area. And I have a good participation, but it's also a local contest, so you have a better chance, I think. So definitely check that out. I do the writing workshops in the summer, and these are for young people as well as high school students. In fact, primarily the creative writing is aimed for elementary age students and middle school students, with some high schoolers as well. And then I have high school students help me out as camp assistants. So is the camp sort of 5 days a week camp? Is it what kind of time commitment would be involved? It's really a half-day workshop with students of your same age group, and that's for 5 days or 10 days. You can do a 1 week or 2 week workshop, and I have different topics. And every summer I have a different focus. Last summer we did something called the night sky, and we did some stargazing one night, and then we wrote constellation myths and poems about the galaxies, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great.
This summer I'm thinking about doing food writing, so for those foodies out there, it'll be a lot of fun. And then I start the writing workshops for the college essay in the summer, but throughout the year I can be working with families who are preparing for their college application essays, as well as just the whole college search. And I also have a blog about the college search right there on my website.
And I'll have a link to Beth's website on my College Smart Radio website for those of you who are listening in. And also, we do, Beth's contributed a blog to the College Smart Radio website on the new Common App, where you can also go there to learn about it and to find the link. I also saw that you have some adult programs. Do you want to share a little bit about what those are about?
Yes, I do some. I've done some what I call literatures, where we went down to Monterey and went to Cannery Row and read some Steinbeck and visited Robinson Jeffers' Tor House. He was a famous poet of the early 20th century. So I do those. Those are really custom designed according to different groups or different individuals who'd like them. I offer ongoing autobiography workshops, and this weekend actually I'm doing a retreat, a journaling retreat for women. That's part of my program. So I have a lot of fun with those. I don't have a chance to do those as often as the regular writing programs for young people, but I'm open to anyone who's interested, and I can design those programs for them.
Well, I wanted to give you a chance to share a little bit more about all of your programs, because it's just it sounds like a lovely organization. A nice opportunity for people. Can you just take a minute or a couple seconds maybe and share with us how people could help out with the program? Because I know it's a nonprofit and you do help some lower income families that need some help to get in the program.
Yes, very wonderful. I offer scholarships for my summer camp participants and also for the college essay writing workshops. Right now I have a scholarship drive, and you can go online and make a contribution through PayPal if you want, or send a check to my address. It's there online. And the scholarships are going to be for a special program I'm doing in Redwood City at Roosevelt School in June. So I'd love the help.
That's great. Well, and I'll also have a link. I will, again, have a link to Beth's website. Thanks so much for joining us today on College Smart Radio.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Beatrice.
A link to Beth's website, pwlp.org, with descriptions of the Peninsula writing and literature programs, is going to be available on my website, as I mentioned. Remember, college is a huge expense for a family. A strong college essay can pull together a college application and really clinch that coveted spot in your college of choice. And the more acceptance you get, the more choices you have, and that can also help with your financial obligations for college. Remember, when you want to make the right choice for college that meets your budget. It just makes plain good sense. Well, that wraps up another weekly show of College Smart Radio. We hope you picked up some new information today that helps you figure out ways to manage the runaway cost of college. You can hear us each week here on KDOW 1220 AM, Saturdays at 3 p.m. We promise to bring you up-to-date information from the front lines of helping parents deal with the most expensive years of their lives. This is Beatrice Schultz. Thanks for tuning into College Smart Radio. We look forward to sharing more helpful information next week.
You've been listening to College Smart Radio with certified financial planner Beatrice Schultz. If you have questions on today's topic, log on to collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. That's 650-587-1559. Join us next week at this time for another edition of College Smart Radio on AM 1220 KDOW.